Today, lads, we're going to be going through my full custom tactics rotation. 4 custom tactics, lads, that will help you a lot to get more wins in Weekend League. Let's get into it. So the first custom tactic, lads, is the 451. All these tactic codes will be in the comments, just listed in the comments down below. So check them out if you need the codes. They will be, as you can see on your screen right now, if you want to copy and paste while I'm talking. But for ease of it, they are in the description for you. So this 451 is the one I start in every single game. I think it's probably one of the most, other than like the 442, it's probably the most balanced formation in this game. I prefer this over the 442 just because you get the more bodies in midfield. It gives you more passing options, and the way you can set up the wingers and the forwards, it attacks like a 4-3-3. So essentially, this sets out with a 61 on the depth and then the build-up start on balance. As you can see, these are all the roles that we've set up. What we want is someone that just sits and holds, Bellingham for me. A player that goes box to box, so he's going to get up, going to get down, going to assist with the goals and help you out defensively. And then we got Patrick, who's more of a playmaker. What I found, I did have both of these on box to box, and it is good because they do get forward, but not at the pace I would like. So he's a bit more slow and in the build-up, but he does get forward, whereas I want someone to be in the thick of it, just creating problems, scoring goals. And as you can see from the alternate view, it's set out like this 4-3-3, this kind of format. You've got the fullback, the left back, the push is on. Again, lads, with this setup, I recommend your 2 centre backs. You can use whatever role you want. However, I do recommend now after testing that you have both these guys on the same role, because what I found is if I have one on defender or one on stopper and then another one on a different role, then they kind of do this weird imbalanced dogleg thing where they're just kind of all over the place. Whereas if they've both got the same role, they're going to be next to each other at all times. So it gives you a bit of your defensive line will be a lot more solid, lads, if you do it that way. Again, for the 3 midfielders, I recommend you having 3 not too heavy midfielders, lads, because I was finding when Thuram is good, but I just prefer Bellingham in this because he's just a bit better going forward. And then for your left mid and right mid, lads, just making sure that you've got like proper attackers that can score goals, because they are going to push on and be literally in the box scoring you goals. And then your offensive wing back, you want pace, good track back speed. You will need what I found, a replacement left back on the bench, because this guy does get tired towards the 60th, 70th minute mark. So having someone to swap out will help you not only attacking but defensively. To improve your team in FC25, lads, you need to head over to U7Buy. They have the cheapest coins around and a super reliable service. You can also save yourself a cheeky 6% off at checkout when you use my code AYYLP. So going into a tactic that we released on the channel the other day, lads, it is the 4-3-3-2, and it plays with a false 9. As you can see, Griezmann is the best false 9 you can use in this game. The depth for this one, we've set it at 61. 61, I find, is the meta at the moment. Although we do have a high pressing formation in this rotation that takes us all the way up to 95. But that's for when you're losing later on, lads. And we'll get onto that one next, which is important. This one's on short passing. There's a bit more focused around the build-up and just building up at like a nice, easy pace where you're trying to control the tempo of the game. I like this one because the center forward or the striker drops in deep and shows feet a lot, and the left wing and right wing kind of push on, so they're insane. I'm not a massive fan of Lamine Yamal, this player of the month, just because I can't do the Travellas with him on that right hand side, so he's a card that I'll be looking to upgrade. But Parallelo is nice. I recommend you have a left footer on the left hand side and a right footer on the right hand side for being able to do those Travellas. And in the striker, you can have whoever you want. I've got Griezmann, who can Travella to the far post or finesse inside, which is ideal, really. Finesse shot plus is just a cheat code. And this is how it kind of sets up. Again, it's got the left wing and right wing slightly ahead of the striker, but that's what you want. In the center forward position, lads, you do need to have someone that's got really good passing. I said in the video, Griezmann is the best player for this position because he's got the false 9++. He's got amazing passing stats, amazing dribbling stats, and he's great in the build-up as well as going forward. Again, a fullback getting forward, you want a substitute for the fullback because he will get tired. And I do tend to swap out my midfielders in all these formations just to keep it fresh, lads, as well as the forwards. You get 5 subs. So 1 your fullback, 2 midfielders, 2 wingers, and that tends to be what I do. But this one is more geared around, it's more of a wild card for me. I use it when I'm not so much losing, but I'm trying to create different patterns of play. Or if I notice that my striker is getting marked out of the game, I'll go into this one just so it pulls them a bit deeper and then rely on those wide players to create the chances. So diving into the other tactics, lads, and it is another 4-5-1, but this is my 4-5-1 press. This is a lot more aggressive than the first 4-5-1 you would have seen in the video, and because 4-5-1 is my favorite formation in the game, I like to have 2 variations. One that I start in and that is a bit more conservative and just plays a bit smarter. This one is geared towards when I'm losing a game, and it's on aggressive, it's on 95 depth, so it presses high on the pitch. The instructions have changed ever so slightly. The centre mid has changed from holding to box, so we want him to get forward but also come back. And then the 2 left and right centre mid lads are on playmaker, so they kind of get forward. So the midfield is like pushed up ever so slightly, which is nice, and it kind of sets up like this. You've got like almost 2 cams, 1 CDM, and the fullback still goes forward, lads. So again, still need a replacement for that. I would recommend the players you replace in this formation have replacements for the left back, the 2 cams, the 2 wingers, and that'll set you off nicely. Having a striker that can pass is nice in this formation, but if you like the aerial game, you can use the aerial game. This formation is solely designed for getting you back into games, lads, and it is really aggressive, so I don't recommend you use it as like a base starting point. The centre back is also changed to stopper in this one, so I want him to step up and just be aggressive. Again, we're only doing this because this is a tactic geared for when we're losing a game, and it is really good because you just kind of, you can flick it on the D-pad and your positions, your players don't really change, they're just, their roles change, so it's like a seamless transition, which is super underrated. A code in the top left hand corner, also 3rd line in the description. Now on to the final formation in the rotation, lads, and it's, as you can see, I've got all 3 of my formations, they work seamlessly together. They're all kind of similar in build up or style, and that's because you want to be not playing players out of position. So basically, when you play these players out of position, when you've got that little exclamation mark on there, they are going to make no AI movement at all. So having a rotation that really fits your team is important, because you will suffer if you've got players out of position. And that's why we use the 4-1-4-1, lads. And this is my more defensive formation. This is what I use to see out games. So you drop that centre mid into a CDM role. They're much deeper on the pitch. Again, it defends the 2 cams, or the left mid or right mid. They're a lot deeper in this formation, and it's more geared towards controlling the play. You've got almost like that 5-man midfield that can pass to each other at all times. The fullback still gets forward because I do think the width is needed in a lot of formations and just breaking people down, especially when they're using 5 backs. But you're going into this formation if you're winning, lads. 2 box-to-box midfielders, so the 3 midfielders are really, really defensive. Well, I wouldn't say really, really defensive. They do still get forward. You could put all 3 on holding, but I don't recommend that. You still need to create when you go into a defensive formation, because otherwise you will, it just becomes hard. You need to continue to attack, otherwise you will just suffer, especially with the way how jammy this game is. You need to stay on the front foot to avoid being, you know, feeling the jam from them. So the more you can control the game with this formation, the better. And again, it's basically like the 4-5-1. It's just a touch deeper. There's a CDM that sits in front of the defenders. There's 2 box-to-box midfielders that kind of hold the lines but then push on and support with your attacks. And your left mid and right mid, they're not bombing on like the other formations. They're just kind of there. They're both on inside forward. They are going to be in and around the strike. The strike is not going to be totally isolated, but it's more geared towards seeing out the game, lads. If you don't enjoy the fullback going forward for this formation, lads, I definitely recommend you just change wing back to fullback, and then you will have a completely rock solid backline. It will kind of go to, it will look like this. So it's a lot more flat. And to be honest, if you're going for meta, then that's probably the best way to see out the game, is just keep that fullback going forward. If I'm finding the person is hitting me hard on the counter attack in the game, I will flip this in game. I will go into my tactics and change this to fullback just to prevent those counter attacks, especially if I'm trying to hold on to a lead. But that is my full custom tactics rotation. It's all kind of based around the 4-5-1 and what I find the most fun at the moment. This is what I'm using in Division Rivals, Division 1, and Fut Champs this weekend. We've not finished yet. We had a decent start, lads. We're currently 8-1, but this is my favorite rotation at the moment. Stay tuned for more rotation videos coming along. We'll do one based around the 4-3-3. We've not done any 5-backs yet. Leave in the comments if you want to see a 5-back. I feel dirty just for mentioning it. I'll catch you in another one. Cheers.